Have you ever had an idea that was so clear it was like a 3D movie? Have you ever told a friend about the idea and they told you, wow, if you could only make that into a business, you would be rich? Sound familiar? Welcome to Knowledge to Currency. I'm your host, Senator Porter, with my co-host, Roosevelt Williams III, and we're here to help you take action. This is free information. We only ask one thing: build a strong foundation and mindset. We have insight to help you get started. Most of us just need a push. What's up? What's up? Welcome to another episode of Knowledge to Currency. My name is Senator Porter. Your name is?
Roosevelt Williams III.
And we are honored to have the guest, Anthony Ramirez, here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, my brother.
Well, let's kind of get into it. As far as you, I will say you're a father, you're a business owner, you're a husband, you're John Wick with a pistol. Oh. Like, you do several different things. Can we talk about some of your businesses?
Sure.
All right. How many different streams of income do you have?
So, it's ironic that you say that. So recently I took a step back. I've done development properties and flips and subdivisions, and then that was my side hustle, right? My main thing was doing mortgage banking. I've been doing mortgage banking for 18 years.
Right.
And been a landlord on multi-unit properties, gone through all that stuff. But then, I think there's a certain point, and it has to do with our ego, right? You get a certain level of success, and when you look around sometimes and you don't have the right mentorship, right? The friends around you, and you start hanging out with people that spend a lot of money or living like a certain lifestyle, and it makes you really blind to a lot of things, right? You think that there's a lot of arrogance. I see it actually today in the real estate industry.
Sure.
I see a lot of it today, very similar. But then you'll find yourself, you get knocked down, right? So I had a multi-million-dollar transaction with somebody, took about 30 people down with us at the same time, had a whole Ponzi scheme set up. Super painful situation to go through, right? Because you work so hard to build. But, afterwards I kind of had to ask myself, who was I becoming? And I didn't like it, right? I didn't like it. And then so a friend of mine, Kalani Kreutzberg, he owns ADU Geeks now, but I started ADU Geeks with him in the very beginning. And it was random. We're just talking about, how to build a business out, trying to take what I learned before within real estate, and in the flips, the margins were getting thinner, and like, how do we add more property value? So we started looking at adding extra units on. In that process, it was so painful for clients that I was like, dude, we can just facilitate this, charge a fee, because this is like a spot, an empty spot here.
Sure.
Gave him some seed money. He took off with it, and got the name, got everything, boom, made it veteran oriented, and I just let it go. Honestly speaking, because I saw how much passion he had in it.
Sure.
But the thing is the reason I put money into a venture like that, just to start another business,
right,
wasn't because of me this time. It was because I saw potential in someone else. And so that's now my path going forward, is like I liquidated all my assets, right? Took a step back in the mortgage banking and recreating a new brand, literally like right now, recreating a new brand, knowing that this market cycle is coming. And sometimes I think it's okay that you can clear the deck. Just clear the deck, right? Take everything off, sell all your property, sell everything, go cash, and say, all right, if I'm going to start this all over again, what are the key things I need to get first, right? And this time, about a year and a half ago, I said, I need mentorship.
Okay.
So looked online. I had a friend of mine, an acquaintance at the time, a guy, his name's Danny Morale, and very similar in how we had operated. Okay. I knew him for about 15 years or so. He used to speak to my LOs, and great guy. You look him up, look up Danny Morale, and saw him going through this transformation, right? Similar experiences. And I said, all right, I see somebody now who's swallowing their ego and their pride and putting their family first, their health first, their mental mindset first, right? And it wasn't about a grind anymore.
Okay.
It was about an alignment, right? And then I had another mentor. I started with my boy Thatch Nguyen, and I've been mentoring him with him now going over a year and a half, almost 2 years now. And the reason I did it with Thatch was because I saw how Thatch was over the years with building his investments. And this is before he started blowing up on Instagram and stuff. So I said, look, if I'm going to build my business around, residential properties and builds and flips and all that, let me go back and be a student, right?
This the guy in Seattle, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I know. If you guys haven't seen him, he usually has the videos where he tells people don't buy the Phantom, buy multifamily. Yeah. It's a really good guy.
He's a super good guy, bro. He's a super good guy. I told him the other day, bro, I said, one of the best gifts you gave me wasn't necessarily how to do a property. And I told my best friend this today. I said, dude, the 3 most important things I learned from Thatch right now, I can tell you hands down. 1, holding a standard. Like straight up, any business owner, employee, property, project, don't deviate from your standard. Hold the standard.
Sure.
And if it doesn't fit your standard, don't do it, period. When you start getting loose on your standards is when you start making mistakes, and that goes back to the ego.
Right.
The second thing was who he was being. So I was like, what's your daily routine like? And I started seeing patterns in things. Getting up early, working out, meditation, having a green juice versus having coffee, right? Taking the kids to school. So I started mimicking that daily routine. Man, it made such a better connection with my kids, right? I chose to stop drinking just out of the blue. I was with Danny, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to challenge myself to just stop. And one day woke up, no coffee, no alcohol. Just that day forward that was it.
Wow.
That's good. Because you have to have a pattern break, right? Because if I'm truly trying to be within myself, I got to clean the slate.
Right.
Take all that stuff off. Change my friends. Adjust my attitude. Work from home, be with my kids, right? Even now, my connection with my kids is getting deeper by the day. And I stop and I'm like, oh my God, I was missing so much because I was grinding so hard.
Yeah.
Chasing that dream, So now that we're going into this next real estate market cycle, I'm already pre-planning from 2 years now, right? How we're setting up the new businesses, taking advantage of the compression in real estate values, right? Because it's going to happen. But it's the opportunities now, the way I see the property, different. I was complacent before, right? Kicked me off that high horse. But it allowed me to take a step back, reprioritize, and then start mentally having that game plan of the business laid out.
Okay.
Right?
How much is a mentorship from him charged nowadays?
Bro, just to be like in their crew.
Right.
Just to like truly be, they'll charge you about 20, 25 grand a year, easy. Okay. And if you want one-on-one, they're going to charge you $100,000.
Okay.
And that's why I feel like I'm very blessed, because I started really recognizing that through my lifetime, I've actually had very good mentors. And I just, you start hanging around a certain echelon of people, you take it for granted in a sense, right? Because you still hang out with your homies and your buddies and stuff, but, really becoming almost like a disciple for them, right? And that was the biggest real change.
I think that's a good lesson, because a lot of people, when they talk about money and you ask how much someone would charge for mentorship, they would totally be like, oh, no, I'm not going to pay someone that much. But really investing in yourself, if you look at it and you put it on that kind of money, it'll take you serious.
Oh, yeah. Bro, I'll tell you right now, knowing what I know today, it was a drop in the bucket in comparison through the money that I burned. And I used to always chalk it up to an expensive school. I used to always say, 50 grand here, whatever. I was doing an investment in marijuana industry, okay, with a guy I knew, right. 100 grand, right? Got into it, dude. It was so shady. That's the shadiest business ever, right? And the thing is that if you follow with the right people, and it's not just your money invested, like you're actually running it as a business, there's outstanding results you can get from that,
right?
But you still have to remember, you have drug dealers that are trying to become legitimate,
right?
They're still hustlers,
right?
Right? And they're still cutting a lot of corners.
Right.
So that's the other side of things about holding the standard with including the proper legal advice, right?
Yeah.
Just spend the money and do it.
True.
You may think you're smart, or you may think that you have a lot of the answers, but in reality, being open to that advice is so critical, right? Anyhow, long story short, some permitting things didn't go in, it multi-state lines, this and that come out of it, boom, 100 grand wasted. And you know what's funny for me though is like for somebody else on the street, they'll kill somebody for 5 grand.
Yeah, or less.
And for me, 100 grand was like having an argument.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I've done investments on properties where, you know, I lose maybe 15, 20 grand because we overshot the market. It happens. Right. And I would always chalk it up to an expensive school. This is an expensive school. If I don't,
Harvard.
This is Harvard. This is like Harvard times 10, right?
Stanford.
It's different.
Right.
It's different. And so, you know, taking those steps back, and once I started to really understand, I also started to learn I wasn't alone in that venture. Mm-hmm. Once you start getting really deep with them, they're like, hey, bro, let me tell you about my story when this set me back. I lost $3 million. Or I lost $4 million, or I almost lost my family and my kids, and I gave my ex-wife $5 million. Like, I've actually talked to my buddies, like, and I was like, damn, that was a drop in the bucket.
Right. Because you still have your family, you still have your wife, you still have those things. So,
and that's what they told me.
That's good. So then, so get to the multifamily stuff. So let's talk about that.
Okay.
What did you learn?
So the thing I learned, so here's the beautiful thing. So in ADU Geeks, we said, all right, bro, here's our game plan. Look, transactionally, we're going to make a couple $100 a deal for processing someone's plans and the facilitation and do a feasibility study. I'm not into that. You run that part. I'll do the mortgages on them, whatever. But the real money is in these 4 quadrants. I said, quadrant number 1 is transactional. Quadrant number 2 is our deals. Right? Quadrant number 3 over here is franchise the business. Quadrant number 4 over here is our partnerships in properties.
Right.
So I said, you know, you can handle the ADU stuff. That part's cool. You want to open up a Riverside location or one in San Jose. That's all good, bro. It's all you. Literally, I told him, I'm like, how nice is that as a partner, right? I'm not only going to give you the money to help front you start the business, but on top of that, dude, keep all of it, bro. It's not my thing.
Right.
I'm going to stick in my space. But now on the property side was like, okay, look, we can add another door to the property. Cost of construction versus cost of resale, really basic math. So the cost of construction is costing me, let's say, even in today's dollar, $300 a square foot. But cost of resale, $500 a square foot. Dude, it's basic math.
Right.
So now you pick up a property, add another door to it. Where in San Diego are you going to pick up a $300,000 condo or house?
Not.
You're not going to find it.
Yeah, you're not.
Plus, you already own the land.
Right.
Right? So that started penciling out. I closed a deal from one of my other buddies, and we did a 4-unit build for him from scratch, start to finish. Permitting process, go through the experience, right? Understand like all the new guidelines. And then what ended up rolling out was SB 9 and SB 10.
Yeah.
So SB 9, SB 10 rolls out. I'm like, perfect timing. Thank you, God. Because it aligned with my plan.
Yeah, explain for people that don't know the SB 9, SB 10.
So what SB 9 is, SB 9 allows you to build an additional property on your lot. So you can subdivide the lot through SB 10, and then SB 9 allows you to build another single-family residence on it. Once you subdivide that lot, you can actually add another ADU, another accessory dwelling unit. Now you're basically making it like a duplex.
Right.
And you can still add the junior ADU, right? So another accessory dwelling unit. So you make a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house into a 2-1, and then you make the 1-1 into another unit.
Right.
Now that property just became 3 rentals. But remember the house in the front. You could do the same thing on that. So that same single-family residential lot that you started with just turned into 6 doors.
Right.
And if you want to sell it, you can sell half of it, the one in the back or the one in the front. Your choice.
Right.
That make sense?
And does it require parking?
There's a lot of different guidelines on it in terms of the distance from your mass transit area. So if you're close to mass transit by buses, things like that. But the point is that it gives a small entrepreneurial that, I mean, think about it this way. What if I can do a profit margin, and I did my buddies like this, where you're making $400,000 or $500,000 in real equity, not like speculation, real equity or cash flow.
Yeah.
What would your life be like if I did that 10 times?
You'd be doing like your buddy in Seattle, the Phantom.
Okay, so I'm gonna challenge you again.
Right.
What if this was your 5-year plan and you just did 2 a year? Is that doable?
Absolutely.
Simple. How easy is that? Mm-hmm. Right? So it was really just taking a step back, saying, okay, how can I maximize the things that I've known right now? Because that's the one thing I had never lost, is the things that I have in here, right?
Right.
So, all right, now my game plan is let the market do what it's doing. I'm not going to rush into this. I've seen this market before. I had my high-rise condos in Miami, wearing my Cartier shades and live that lifestyle, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not going to do that this time. I'm going to clear the deck, prioritize my family first, make sure all my expenses are down low, everything's simple, and then now initiate my game plan. So as the market conditions continue to shift, I'm on the other side of that wind. I'm going with it instead of fighting it.
Sure.
Right? Because right now in our industry, I talk to so many realtors and lenders, bro, that are just bummed out. Oh, the market. Oh. And I'm over here like, bro, you have no idea. I'm so excited.
Well, your wife's a realtor. What does she say right now?
So this is the funny thing, right? So I had to give her a reminder. I was going to say like a reality check because it wasn't a negative way. Right. So when I had my daughter, she's 15 now. Mm-hmm. And I rewound in time, and I said, do you know when we had her in 2007, we lived in Temecula, had a house on the golf course, right? She was a stay-at-home mom. I drove every day from La Jolla to Temecula, right? I saw my Porsche back then, so I commuted every day during the mortgage meltdown. Ooh. So I got a stay-at-home wife, I got a newborn, and I got an hour commute each way while the mortgage was melting.
You had hair back then or no?
Bro, I started shaving it. Dude, and I was under so much stress at that time.
I bet.
Right? And the thing is, as men, sometimes I think we default to our fathers in a sense. And that's kind of what I did. I defaulted to my father. And my dad was just a hardworking guy. He was 10 hours, 12 hours a day. He would do his thing. He'd come home, turn on the TV, open a beer, chill, decompress. And, the sad thing is that when you have that type of fathership, mm-hmm. it's not really teaching you how to be a father. You just start mimicking your father because that's what you think you need to do, right?
Sure.
My dad was like this. He just buckled down and he started grinding.
Right.
Oh, I started grinding. And you start hearing that from, you got to start grinding, bro. You got to get your grind on.
Right.
Wrong, man. Wrong.
Work smarter.
Bro, I started working with Danny, and Danny's like, dude, I work 3 hours a day at the most.
Right.
And he's making millions of dollars a year.
Right.
I was like, are you open to that possibility? I'm like, yeah, bro. I'm tired of grinding. Mm-hmm. So it's really about putting those building blocks in place, so now I can feel it and taste it. I may not be there at the moment, mm-hmm. but I already know my game plan and where to get there.
So let's talk about the mortgage side of your business. Mm-hmm. So you basically help veterans find home ownership?
Yep. Yeah, so one of the things I was managing for a long time, I had a very big branch that I inherited a while back, 2012, and it was a little bit strange because it was the real estate. My average sales price, my loan amount was like $265 in San Diego.
Really?
Yeah.
What
Imagine that.
1980?
Nope, 2012. And trip off of this, bro. In that year, I was looking at my numbers. I closed 115 transactions that year, 2012.
Wow.
And so it was all first-time home buyers. Like 98% were Cal Hafa. Okay. So they were like hard deals.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, it's not an easy program. So
that's not an easy program.
People that don't know, Cal Hafa is a first-time home buyer program. They give you down payment assistance. And they basically, if you stay in the property over 2 years, the money can be forgivable. So
Yeah, so those borrowers that come from that space, it was fully docked. We just came out of that environment of having no documentation.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. They're like, what?
Yep,
Bank statements,
yep,
pay stubs.
Yep. And started managing, bro. And at that time, refinances weren't really there, just because there was not a whole lot of equity.
Mm-hmm.
So I started teaching rookies on how to go get the business from scratch, how to make relationships from scratch. And to this day, I still have friends. They're friends of mine, still doing very well for themselves. And fast forward to about 2019, and I just said, you know what, I had enough. I had enough of just. I'm gonna go back to what I love was directly helping people.
Sure.
So just when I started getting back into originations, my buddy Johnny's a realtor. COVID hits, and we're like, what are we gonna do?
Shout out to Johnny Perez.
Johnny Perez, bro, JP. And he's like, dude, we're just gonna take this online. We're gonna do workshops online.
Okay.
All right. I'm old school, ground and pound. All right, okay. So I got my routine going, which was nice. Get up in the morning, have breakfast with the kids, do my thing. And then I'm in my robe, banging out phone calls all morning at my kitchen table, and then doing our workshops.
So what's the name of the workshop?
It's Hero San Diego. Mm-hmm. So we do veteran. We teach veterans how to utilize their benefits for home ownership, and we walk them through the process. I break all the myths and misconceptions. We talk about market data and what's going on, and then the whole process of actually closing the transactions, and we go fast.
And it started out where you're doing local, but now it's national, correct?
Yeah, so we just started dripping with, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, started getting local people on there. And it was amazing because the market got soft, obviously, during COVID. And so we were putting in people into houses with nothing out of their pocket, bro. Mm-hmm. Call them VA no-nos, no money down, no closing costs. And, first-time home buyers. Because prices got a little soft real quick.
Right.
And it felt good, bro. It felt like what got me passionate about the business. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I like this. And then with my military people, I'm like, wow, I really like this. Because now now I got people that I like to work with. We're building this business online. We're going consumer direct. And the way that we're actually capturing the business is not because we have the lowest rates in town or anything else. Service and education. Every transaction for a veteran, we try to make 21 days or less. And we walk them through the process on how they use it. And they come back to us from other workshops where they get these free hamburgers and beer and whatever. And they're like, man, everything we learned from you guys, it was nobody talks about this.
That's awesome. Good job with that.
Yeah, so it's different. So then we started expanding it. We started watching migration patterns happen. Mm-hmm. Started having about 35% of the pipeline going out of state. So now I'm closing deals in Oregon, Washington, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Florida. Dude, you name it, right?
I can see you light up, be excited about it.
Oh, bro, it was awesome. But the downside was they got handed off to a realtor in the market space that didn't know VA. Mm. We took that for granted.
Yeah.
So then we started partnering them with our preferred agents in those market areas that specialize in VA.
Okay.
And so the experience became different, and they're like, wait a minute, you guys are closing in 3 weeks. Like that my market, they don't even do that.
Sure.
So now we're working with top grade agents in different market areas, handing them, client relationships, and we're helping that transition, go from California to El Paso, Texas.
Hey, that's shout out to El Paso. That's where I was born.
Yeah, I have a gunny sergeant right now moving out to El Paso right now.
Nice.
Just closed another one in Dallas Fort Worth last week. Yeah, I got another guy moving into Virginia, into Quantico, and we have them everywhere.
You got any questions, Fran?
Oh, I'm just it's all fascinating. So I really like the family dynamic. Kind of, I don't want to say it supersedes the business part, but you actually have the core values, the standard. I like to learn more about the standard, and just how you implement that and how you and the sustainability piece.
Very simple. It's actually very simple. Be what you want to get from the world. So when I would come home and I was really kind of disgruntled, 12-hour day, and your kids don't get up and greet you, typical reaction is, oh, you guys are lazy or you're unthankful, blah, blah, blah. Now, you know what you do? You come home and greet your kids. Kiss them first. Don't expect that. Tell them you love them often. If you want your kids to tell you that they love you freely, start telling them you love them often, right? If you start working with them as a team, just grab the dishes, say, hey, bro, you want to give me a hand real quick? They'll start jumping in. Kids want to be a part of something. And that's what I had to realize. It wasn't a matter of me dictating to them what my expectations were. I had to be the change, right? I had to be more loving. I had to drop out of my head and into my heart. And then that connection changed my dynamic.
That's fire.
Seamless right there. Yeah. Because I'm learning as an early entrepreneur. I'm on the grind. I'm on the rat race, and family foundation is a cornerstone, to wealth, to health, and everything. And even greeting my wife, my heirs. So I'm definitely going to continue to implement that. So thank you very much.
Oh, dude, anybody I talk to, I say, you have really three options in experience, right? One, you can huddle up and get in the fetal position. Nobody's going to come to save you.
Right.
Two, just live in it, right? This is life, acceptance. I'm going to take it for what it is. Or three, you make something of it, right? How can I take this experience, and if I was going to do a reboot, what do I need to do the reboot for? And you got to swallow that ego, right? That's really the hardest part. That's the scary part, because you ever watch the Hulk, and there's one of the Marvel Comics universe movies where Thanos beats up the Hulk, right? Remember how long it took Bruce Banner to get the Hulk back out? The Hulk was scared.
Right.
He was scared.
Yeah,
the Hulk was scared.
Yeah.
How's that? So when you get yourself kicked down sometimes it feels like that. You got the Hulk deep down inside, and you're just like, I just want to get him out. I know he's in there, Go take a walk. Just go. That's what Danny told me. I want you to get up in the morning, go take a walk. Just start walking. Break your pattern. Break your pattern. One day at a time, break your pattern. And so that's why when I woke up, I actually, I went down with him. We were going to do a journey one time. I was in Austin. I wasn't planning on this. And I come downstairs, 6 o'clock in the morning. Everybody's dressed in white. I'm dressed like usual, right? They got their pillows. I'm like, what are we doing? He's like, bro, you're not set for this. Did you fast? Did you not drink? Did you this? I'm like I didn't really take it seriously. So anyhow, they took off. I jumped on the little scooter, went down to a little breakfast spot. And I had been eating vegan the whole week because he requires us to eat vegan when we're down here doing our workshops. Okay. And I get myself a big-ass machaca burrito, and I get 2 Bloody Marys, bro, right? It's 8:30 in the morning. And I sat there, and I was like, man, this just doesn't serve me. Right when I had the chance to continue on the good path I've been doing this whole week, I immediately defaulted back to my bad original habit. Okay. So on the plane, I was like, you know what? That was my last drink. That was my last cup of coffee. If I can stop drinking is kind of easy. I mean, for some people it can be hard. But whenever I tell people I also stop drinking coffee, they're like, bro, are you crazy? How'd you get up in the morning? How's your wife handle you? And I've asked my kids, and my kids tell me, they're like, I go, how am I being? And they're like, Dad, you know what? You're like this. And I'm like, that's awesome. Because now they get to experience the authentic me that I was afraid to expose. Right?
So for the program, how long does each session take? Not for the mentorship, but for the first-time homebuyer program.
We spend a good almost 90 minutes total with them online, right? We go through the process in the very beginning. We give them initial market data, what's going on, market conditions, don't fluff it. Then we start breaking down the different program types that are available out there, just so they know what's out there, right? Like, we're not going to make it push to do the VA, but hey, these are what's out there. Little vocabulary. Then I start coming in with all the missing misconceptions. Because as veterans, we get fed this. I mean, I've been hearing this for my entire career. I still hear it to this day with agents. VA loans are hard. I'm like, no, VA loans are not hard. It's the lender that was doing that transaction. So they equate the credit union that just did a mass layoff on operations staff with the program type, and the program type had nothing to do with it. It just because their experience with
one loan officer.
Well, the vast majority of VA business in general is done with Navy Feds and the USAAs of the world, right? Veterans Uniteds. And if you don't have passionate individuals working those transactions, then the feedback is never the lender, it's the program.
Which is wrong. Yeah.
So what we started to really do is front load every transaction. Hey guys, look, you're already against the 8-ball in this transaction because of the perception of veterans in this business. What I need from you right now is to get all these documentation up front so we can pre-underwrite this file. The difference from pre-underwriting, you know the difference, right?
Yep.
We're going to actually vet everything out. And then by the time you do find a property, I can actually call that agent and tell them that we've already pre-underwritten your loan.
Right.
So at that point, you give me a purchase contract, I'll shoot out your disclosure, sign that thing off, and boom, we're off to the races.
Perfect. And
right?
I mean, that's the difference from a professional versus a rookie.
But going back to the original premise, if I'm going to go back to do loans, what's the best way that I knew how to do it? How can I marry that in with my client's experience? I can be, hey, it's beneficial for Anthony, right? It's beneficial for me because it makes my transactions a little faster. But when I started focusing on what the benefit is for them first, then the communication was completely different because it wasn't about my need, it was about serving their need.
Right. Yeah, if you solve big problems, you'll make a lot of money. So if you help them,
exactly.
You don't got to worry about the money.
The one thing I wrote down, I said, service is what I provide. My paycheck is a byproduct of my service.
Yep.
Right? I wasn't doing this deal, how much I can make on the deal. It didn't matter. It's just another unit, just another family that I'm really helping. And then just trust the process. If I help a lot of families, then by default, I'm going to throw a bunch of money in the bank. You know what I mean? So a little bit different.
I like that. So if people want to get a hold of you, what's the best way?
Oh, man. Shoot up a bat light.
Yeah, shoot up the bat light.
I tell people, I laugh a lot now because I'm like, people ask me like, hey, you have a business card? I'm like, I don't leave business cards, bro. I leave impressions.
Yeah, neither do I. I think the business cards are played out.
Yeah. They can go to my IG. They can, my Anthony.Ramirez.SD.
Okay.
I don't flash my stuff on there.
Okay.
And then, yeah.
So I'll make sure to put that on the episode. What's we're almost out of time. Any parting words or anything you'd like to say? Any events coming up?
I do workshops every week like clockwork.
Okay.
So that's 100% my business. But what I do recommend for people, though, honestly, meditation.
Okay.
Bro, if there's one thing that I've ever learned right now is turning off the noise. I think right now with cell phones, we're so addicted to this injection of what do they call it? Serotonin.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
This fix we have on ourselves. We stop going inside to hear the answers.
Yeah.
Right? Because we know the answers. My buddy Kalani posed me a question one time. He says, what's something you know the answer to you're not willing to admit to yourself?
What'd you tell him the answer?
Huh?
What was the answer?
I didn't want to tell him because you're afraid to say it at that moment, right? Because he knew that I had an issue going on that I was breaking down for him. And he's like, what are you not willing to admit to yourself? I'm like, damn. And then the second part to that question is, before you make it outwards, make it inwards, right? So when you're in a situation, you gotta make a tough decision, and you want to blame what the item is. Nah, man, start using your elbow.
Right.
That's where it actually originated from. You're the creator of things.
Sure.
And it's so empowering when you think that when you're the creator, then you're the creator.
Right.
You can change it.
Right.
Pattern disruption.
And I don't know if this is business advice or relationship and family and more than anything else. So that's dope. I definitely appreciate the words of wisdom. Start calling you Bruce Lee.
Nah, man. I'll tell you what. Health is truly wealth.
Yeah.
Start there first. It is not selfish to start with yourself first. It is not. Start there first. Because if you don't put the oxygen on you first, it doesn't do no good to your family without you there first, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then really, really understand what your priorities are, right? And it's not just a matter of being a provider. I used to have that assumption, right? My wife, dude, she has so many red bottoms, but like so much stuff I bought over the years. My kids, so much clothes, dude, so much before. And I used to think that was important, right? The label was important. And it really doesn't mean anything at the end of the day if you don't have your health, if you don't have connectivity, like there's no connection there.
Right.
Right? I almost remember the moment where I was friends with my son. You know? And it hit me. I'm like, damn, we're homies. Because you have this mentality of this father figure attitude, right? Mm-hmm. The grinder. And yeah, man. So wipe the slate clean. It's all good.
Got any last questions?
No, beautiful, man. You know what I mean? Encore. You know what I mean? You definitely touched me, spiritually, and I'm definitely gonna break my patterns, that I have set, and do some more manly demonstrations. I'll just say that, and so I want to thank you very much.
Something tells me you're already there.
Absolutely, but you can always learn, and I like to listen to understand instead of speaking to be understood. And even in business, family-wise, I picked up on a lot of nuggets today. So thank you very much.
Oh, no. My pleasure, man.
Man, we appreciate you coming on the show. Looking forward to continuing to build with you. You've definitely been one of my good friends out here in San Diego since I moved here 5 years ago. And that's a wrap. Another episode of Knowledge and Currency in the books.
Awesome, man.
Thank you.
My pleasure.